Hello everyone! Hope you're ready for another adventure, because today, Wayne continues to read The One and Only Ivan by Katherine Applegate. Remember, if you want to follow along with the story, just hit the CC button in your YouTube link below. Now, I have a surprise. Up until now, Ivan has been the one to join us for these adventures. You want to know who's joining us today? Stella. I hadn't been able to introduce you yet. But it looks like the elephant Stella from the book is going to be able to join us today. Hopefully, she'll be able to have a good time with us. Let's jump in. Let's begin. Jambo. My TV is off. So while we wait for the new neighbor, I asked Stella to tell us a story. Nice, Stella. Stella rubs her right front foot against the wall. Her foot is swollen again, an ugly deep red. If you're not feeling well, Stella, I say, you could take a nap and tell us a story later. I'm fine, she says, and she carefully shifts her weight. Tell us about the Jambo story, I say. It's a favorite of mine. But I don't think Bob has ever heard it. Because she remembers everything, Stella knows many stories. I like the colorful tales with black beginnings, stormy middles, and cloudless blue sky endings. But any story will do. I'm not in a position to be picky. Once upon a time, Stella begins, there was a human boy. He was visiting a gorilla family at a place called a zoo. What's a zoo? Bob asks. He's a street-smart dog, but there's much he hasn't seen. A good zoo, Stella says, is a large domain, a wild cage, a safe place to be. It has room to roam and humans who don't hurt. She pauses, considering her words. A good zoo is how humans make amends. Stella moves a bit, groaning softly. The boy stood on a wall, she continues, watching, pointing, but he lost his balance and fell into the wild cage. Humans are clumsy, I interrupt. If only they would knuckle walk, they wouldn't topple so often. Stella nods. A good point, Ivan. In any case, the boy lay in a motionless heap, while the humans gasped and cried. The silverback, whose name was Jambo, examined the boy, as was his duty, while his troop watched from a safe distance. Jambo stroked the child gently. He smelled the boy's pain, then he stood up to watch. When the boy awoke, the humans cried out, "Stay still! Don't move!" Because they were certain, humans are always certain about things, that Jambo would crush the boy's life from him. The boy moaned. The crowd waited, hushed, expecting the worst. Jambo led his troop away. Men came down on ropes and whisked the child to waiting arms. Was the boy all right? Bob asks. He wasn't hurt, Stella says, although I wouldn't be surprised if his parents hugged him many times that night, in between their scoldings. Bob, who has been chewing his tail, pauses, tilting his head. Is that a true story? I always tell the truth, Stella replies, although I sometimes confuse the facts. Lucky. I've heard the Jambo story many times. Stella says that humans found it odd that a huge silverback didn't kill the boy. Why, I wonder, was that so surprising? The boy was young, scared, alone. He was, after all, just another grade 8. Bob nudges me with his cold nose. Ivan, he says, why aren't you and Stella in a zoo? I look at Stella. She looks at me. She smiles sadly with her eyes, just a little, the way only elephants can do. Just lucky, I guess, she says. Arrival. Ooh. The new neighbor arrives after the 4 o'clock show. When the truck comes lumbering towards the parking lot, Bob scampers over to inform us. Bob always knows what's happening. He's a useful friend to have, especially when you can't leave your domain. With a groan, Mac lifts the sliding metal door near the food court, the place where deliveries are made. A big white truck is backing up to the door, belching smoke. When the driver opens the truck, I know that Stella is right. A baby elephant is inside. I see her trunk poking out from the darkness. I'm glad for Stella, but when I glance at her, I see she is not glad at all. Stand back, everyone, he yells. We've got a new arrival. This is Ruby, folks. 600 pounds of fun to save our sorry butts. This gal is gonna sell some tickets. Mac and 2 men climb into the black cave of the truck. We hear noise, scuffling, a word Mac uses when he's angry. Ruby makes a noise too, like one of the little trumpets they sell at the gift store. Move, Mac says, but there's still no Ruby. Move, Mac says again. We haven't got all day. Inside her domain, Stella paces as much as she able. 2 steps one way, 2 steps the other. She slaps her trunk against the rusty metal bars. She grumbles. Stella, I ask, did you hear the baby? Stella mutters something under her breath, a word she uses when she's angry. Relax, Stella, I say. It will be okay. Ivan, Stella says, it will never, ever be okay. And I know enough to stop talking. The men are still yelling. Some of the yelling is at each other, but most of it is at Ruby. We hear scrambling, pounding, shifting. The shide of the tuck shudders. I'm starting to like this elephant, Bob whispers. I'm getting the big one, Max says. Maybe she can coax the stupid brat out of the truck. Matt opens Stella's door. Come on, girl, he urges. He unties the ropes attached to the floorboards. Stella pushes past Matt, nearly knocking him over. She rushes as best she can, limping heavily toward the open back door of the truck. She catches her swollen foot on the edge of the ramp and winces. Blood trickles down. Good girl, Stella. Halfway up the ramp, she pauses. The noise in the truck stops. Ruby falls silent. Slowly, Stella makes her way up the rest of the ramp. It groans under her weight. I can tell how much she is hurting by the awkward way she moves. At the top of the incline, she stops. She pokes her truck into the emptiness. We wait. A tiny gray trunk appears again. Shyly, it reaches out, tasting the air. Stella curls her own trunk around the baby's. They make a soft rumbling sound. We wait some more. A hush falls over the entire Big Top Mall. Thud, thud. Step, step, pause. Step, step, pause. And there she is, so small she can fit underneath Stella with room to spare. Her skin sags, she sways unsteadily as she makes her way down the ramp. Not the greatest specimen, Max says, but I got her cheap from this bankrupt circus out west. They had her shipped over from Africa. Only had her a month before they went bust. He gestures toward Ruby. Thing is, people love babies. Baby elephants, baby gorilla. Heck, give me a baby alligator, I can make a killing. Stella ushers Ruby toward her domain. Mac and the 2 men follow. At Stella's door, Ruby hesitates. Mac gives Ruby a shove, but she doesn't budge. Doggone it. Get a clue, Ruby, he mutters. But Ruby isn't moving, and neither is Stella. Mac grabs a broom, he raises it. Instantly, Stella steps in front of Ruby to shield her. "Get in the cage, both of you," Mac yells. Stella stares at Mac, considering. Gently, but firmly, using her trunk, she nudges Ruby into the domain. Only then does Stella enter. Mac slams the door with a clang. I see two trunks intertwined. I hear Stella whispering. "Poor kid," says Bob. "Welcome to the Exit Big 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade, home of the one and only Ivan." Old news. When Julia comes, she sits by Stella's domain and watches the new baby. She barely talks to me. Stella doesn't talk to me either. She is too busy nuzzling Ruby. She is cute, little Ruby, with her ears flopping like palm leaves. But I am handsome and strong. Bob trots a circle around my belly before settling down in just the right spot. "Give it up," he says. "You're old news." Julia gets out a piece of paper and pen. I can see she is drawing Ruby. I move to the corner of my domain to pout. Bob grumbles. He doesn't like it when I disrupt his naps. "Homework," Julia's father scolds. Julia sighs and put her drawing down. I grunt, and Julia glances in my domain. "Poor old Ivan," she says. "I've been ignoring you, haven't I?" I grunt again, a dignified, indignant grunt. Julie thinks for a moment, then smiles. She walks over to my domain, to the spot in the corner where the glass is broken. She slides paper through, and she rolls a pencil across my cement floor. "You can draw the baby elephant too," Julia says. I bite the pencil in half with my magnificent teeth. Then I eat some paper. Oh, Ivan. Even after Julia and her father leave, I try to keep sulking, but it's no use. Grillers are not, by natures, pouters. "Stella," I call. "It's a full moon. Did you see?" Sometimes when we are lucky, we catch a glimpse of the moon through the skylight in the food court. "I did," Stella says. She is whispering. I realize that Ruby must be asleep. "Is Ruby all right?" I ask. "She's too thin, Ivan," Stella says. "Poor baby. She was in a truck for days. Mac bought her from a circus, the same way he bought me. But she hadn't been there too long. She was born in the wild like us." "Will she be okay?" I ask. Stella doesn't answer my question. The circus trainers chained her feet to the floor, Ivan. All 4 feet. 23 hours a day. I puzzle over why this would be a good idea. I always try to give humans the benefit of the doubt. "Why would they do that?" I finally ask. "To break her spirit," Stella says, "so she can learn to balance on a pedestal, so she can stand on her hind legs, so a dog can jump on her back while she walked in mindless circles." I hear her tired voice and think of all the tricks Stella has learned. Introductions. When I awake the next morning, I see a little trunk poking out behind the bars of Stella's domain. "Hello," says a small, clear voice. "I'm Ruby," she waves her trunk. "Hello," I say. "I'm Ivan." "Are you a monkey?" Ruby asks. "Certainly not." Bob's ears perk up, although his eyes stay closed. "He's a gorilla," he says, "and I'm a dog of uncertain heritage." "Why did the dog climb on your tubby?" Ruby asks. "Because it's there," Bob murmurs. "Is Stella awake?" I ask. "Aunt Stella's asleep," Ruby says. "Her foot is hurting her, I think." Ruby turns her head. Her eyes are like Stella's, black with long lashes, bottomless lakes, fringed by tall grass. "When is breakfast?" she says. "Soon," I say, "when the mall opens and the workers come." "Where?" Ruby twists her head in the other direction. Where are the other elephants? It's just you and Stella, I say, and for some reason, I feel we have let her down. Are there more of you? Nah, I say, at the moment. Ruby picks a piece of hay and considers it. You have a mom and a dad? Well, I used to. Everyone has parents, Bob explained. It's unavoidable. Before the circus, I used to live with my mom and my aunts and my sisters and my cousins, Ruby said. She dropped the hay and picks it up and twirls it. They're dead. I don't know what to say. I'm not really enjoying this conversation, but I can see that Ruby isn't done talking. To be polite, I say, I'm sorry to hear that, Ruby. Humans killed them, she says. Who else? Bob asks, and we fall silent. Stella and Ruby. All morning, Stella strokes Ruby, pats her, smells her. They flap their ears, they rumble and roar. They sway as if they're dancing. Ruby clings to Stella's tail. She slips under Stella's belly. Sometimes, they just lean into each other, their trunks twirled together like jungle vines. Stella looks happy. It's more fun to watch than any nature show I've ever seen on TV. I think that is an amazing place to end the story. I'm so glad that you got Ruby, Aunt Stella, and I hope that you two can have some fun. I'll see you on the next time, okay? And I'll see you on the next time with Wayne Reads. Thank you for joining us for another adventure, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye!